is the IKONXD lawnmower review.
Alright, what you are looking at is the new 2020 IKONXD 60-inch, made by Ariens. It's got 3 blades, it's a 11 gauge fabricated deck, and it's got the Kawasaki FR691V engine in it. 23 horsepower. Basically I wanted to make this because I could not find a single video on YouTube about the 60-inch model. I ended up buying this from a guy who basically just buys them in bulk and finances them out, and then whatever he's got left over he just kind of dumps. So I paid $2,900 for it. I think they retail for $39.99 plus tax. So for what I paid for it, I just couldn't say no. Whether there was any good reviews on it or not. This one had half an hour on it. And I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's got 1.4 on it right now. And that's mostly because I've just been playing with it and mowed my yard twice unnecessarily, just to get some use out of it and get some feedback on it. I didn't wash it after I used it, but that'll be alright. As you can see, the tires, when they're brand, it's a brand new mower. Like I said, I'm pretty sure the guy just dumps them, basically, for a tax write-off reason. But anyways, the XD versions, they got the 2010, 20 by 10, by 8 rear tires, which is an upgrade from the previous models. It's got the 6-inch front casters. The 6x11s, actually. I guess the main thing that I wanted to know about when trying to research any of these things was, if the deck was any good, basically. As you can see, the 60-inch, I don't know if the 52s have this or not, but it got a little grip tape here, I guess, for a step, which, a lot of these decks will move when you stand on them. This one, as you can see, will pick up the other end of the deck a little bit, but if it's worth anybody or worth anything to anybody, I'm 250 pounds, so, and I have stood on this step before where it didn't even move the deck. I think it's just kind of the way it's sitting in my driveway right now, but it's, it's a pretty heavy deck. As you can see, it's a IKONXD 60, made in the USA, of course, made by Ariens. It's got the seat strap, to keep the seat from going all the way over. I'm sure some of y'all know that some of the cheaper ones don't have that. They'll just let the seat go on over. You just got the seat switch under it. Also, it's got the high back. I don't know if you can tell or not, but these are really soft. Like, it's almost like you're sitting in a recliner when you sit in this thing. It's real nice. Anyway. Let's look at the date code here. As you can see, it was made in February 2020. Let's see, that would have been the 2019 marking. The 2020 marking is over here. So it was just made. It's about as new gets. It's got a 3.5 gallon tank, if I remember correctly. You see, there's the fuel filter. I don't think much changed. They got the oil drain and it came with a clear tube. The manufacturer says that this thing comes with braking oil, which we changed at the 5-hour mark, so we're still running the braking oil right now. I don't really think there's a whole lot to see here. They put these Kawasaki engines on just about every 0 turn, it seems. Pretty sure there's a million things you can find online about those. Let's see here. You got your your turtle and your rabbit speed. You got your choke. This is manual choke. The engine on this one, I guess, is about like any manual choke. Of course, it'll crank right up now if I turn the keys because I already cranked it. But if it's cold, you have to pull the choke all the way up, and if you just turn the key, it'll fire and die, fire and die. So what you have to do is you have to turn the key, and as soon as it fires, presses down, runs like a charm. And they used the dial system. These are by half-inch increments, 4.5 is as high as the deck goes. You just press the deck, whatever the hell you call this thing. You just press that and it'll let you turn that. And even at full height, at 4.5 at full deck, if you actually are mowing and you need to get the deck a little higher, the pedal will actually give you about another 2 inches, I would say, on top of that 4.5, in case you get high centered or something. Let's see here. The other big difference you'll notice in the IKONs is the way the deck is shaped. The 52's got a much more boxy kind of deck to it, which kind of makes everybody feel like it's a stronger design, basically, because that's how a lot of the Skags and stuff like that are. And honestly, after seeing this one and how thick the deck is, I couldn't even imagine damaging this deck in any way, shape, or form. I mean, you can see over here, it's a pretty square deck, and it's got a spring assisted. If you if I were just let this go, I mean, it pushes it down. And the deck actually goes all the way out to the end there, so you don't have any exposed blade that you could possibly be stepping on like a lot of the 0 turns have. They'll have a big open area actually underneath the shroud here that frankly is kind of dangerous. I mean, not that you would be standing on anyway, but something happened and your foot, you let the mower was tipping, and you put your foot out, something bad could happen. So it's nice that this deck comes all the way out to here, and it's an 11 gauge deck. I know there's some 10 gauge decks on the market, but frankly, I couldn't imagine it being any real big of a deal. Because I don't know if you can see this or not. This is, God, I don't even know how thick I could possibly tell you what that is, but it's very thin. Well, it's not really that thin, but I mean, it's thin. You can see it kind of flexes, but it's a hard steel. Like, if I put my finger in there and try to pick up on it, I couldn't bend this thing to save my life. And it's just it's just here is where it's connected to. This is all just free floating, so yeah, it's stout steel, and that's the thin. That's the thin part. I mean, frankly, you could make the mower deck out of this stuff, as far as I'm concerned, because this is some heavy duty stuff, and that's just this little pulley shroud. I mean, it's you ain't hurting this thing. Which brings us to the actual deck itself. This right here, where they pieced the deck together, is about how thick the actual deck is. I think. I mean, I think it comes. Well, no, I take that back. Yeah, that's not that. Hang on a second. Let's get over here. There's the thickness right there, and it's probably 1.5 times as thick as that step plate. You know, again, it's supposed to be 11 gauge. Let me see if I can fix my camera here. But it's a stout. I mean, you ain't hurting this deck. I don't care what you do to it, you ain't gonna hurt this deck. And I thought that this right here, where it was stitch welded, I thought this is what they did. I thought what they did was that they basically, when this was a straight piece, when they were making it, that they folded this over and then just stitch welded it around. That's not actually what they did. It turns out that that is a separate piece of metal and goes all the way around the deck here. Let me get down on the ground here. If you can actually see, it's a separate piece, like a L that they welded in, and it goes. And actually, that horizontal piece is actually another piece on its own. They stitch welded the whole thing, you know, all the way around. So it's actually 3 pieces of metal just on the lower part of the deck right there. And so you got the 3-blade setup, which I might raise the mower up and get a better look at that. But you know, it does not have any kind of door, maintenance door, whatever you want to call it. It's just got the rubber mat here. So any belt changes you're gonna have to do, under the floor pan there. I have seen other people do the reviews on the IKON 52s, and they say that the hydraulics are smooth. You know, they're not jerky, but I feel like they're jerky. You know, I feel like they're. You either have to be really, you know, before you can't just change direction. Like, it'll jerk you. I mean, it's a pretty jerky mower in my opinion. Nothing extreme, just you know, if someone asked me, I'm not going to describe it as smooth hydraulics. I'd say they're jerky hydraulics. Of course, it gets the job done, and at the end of the day, it's you know, it's like a halfway there commercial mower. So, you know, and I've learned in a lot of mechanic stuff that jerky most of the time is better than smooth as far as longevity is concerned. Like your automatic transmissions, you know, when they slip the clutches to keep the shift smooth, that's actually wearing the clutches out a lot, opposed to just a nice jerky shift, you know, that would keep the clutches intact for a while. Let's see here. I guess the other big question with this, I've seen a couple of people make some mention about the IKON's and deck startup vibration. It's, you know, most of the zero turns got 2 blades under the deck. This one's got 3, so there's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of mass that's got to get moving, so the belt tension's up, and you know, I don't know, I'll just let you judge for yourself. I'll crank it up and engage the blades, and you know, I'm not sure if this is an excessive amount of deck movement on blade engagement, or if it's just normal. It doesn't really bother me either way, but I do know that I've seen a couple of videos of people complaining about the movement of the deck. So let me just do that real quick. seat. Again, I've already cranked this, so it's going to crank up pretty good on its own. It should, anyways. Oops, sorry, got a little break up. See, that's what I was talking about. I guess it cooled off. If you just try to crank it without the choke, that's all it's going to do. Might hit one time, but then it just dies. You got to pull the choke up, and as soon as it hits, put the choke down. That was at half throttle. We'll try full throttle. And I would do an idle, but I don't think there's any point in that. Even half throttle is pretty shaky. I mean, once it's up to speed, I mean, they're smooth as can be. I mean, once the blades spin up, there's really, I mean, no vibration in the deck or anything. I mean, like I said, nothing I would worry about. It mows and runs and does everything it's supposed to do. Nothing strikes me as being off about it or anything. So, well, my camera ran out of battery, but I was pretty much done with the review anyways. So yeah, that's you know, I would guess about the only differences you'd see in a 52 or any of the other models. I just couldn't find any 60 reviews, and really obviously the only thing that's going to be different is the deck. So that was really basically all I was trying to show people, is the difference in this 60-inch deck versus the rest of them, because they definitely look different. And I didn't know if all this extra length and stuff was going to be an issue, or maybe a weaker deck design or what. I mean, it seems, like I said, it seems pretty legit. I don't know what you'd have to run into to damage this deck, but I wouldn't even worry about it. As far as I'm concerned, it's a commercial grade mower. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and pull this thing back in the garage and get her put to bed for the night. Wait for the grass to grow some.